Is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain, by your brain, by your brain, by your brain.
An illusion.
So much of our world is perception. Some would argue that all of it is perception. If everything that we perceive through our five senses is filtered through the mind, then it's the mind that creates reality, right? I don't know. I don't know the answers, but I definitely know that there's something deeper than what we've been taught. And that's what I want to explore in this video. What is real? What is this reality we're experiencing? Is it all in the mind?
Here, where the past, present, and future all coexist right now. Where our phones are the first things that we touch when we wake up, the last thing we touch before falling asleep.
We've imagined ideas that we all share, ideas of beauty, ideas of truth, ideas of fairness. We've all created together, and it doesn't exist outside of us as a society. And
no, it only exists to us.
yeah,
But to us, it does exist. And this is where I think the beauty of being a person truly lies.
I was having dinner at a friend's house, this director, and he had some kids, and there was like a 13-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 17-year-old, and they hadn't seen the film The Matrix. And so the director was like, well, why don't you just tell them what it's about? So I started to say, well, there's this guy who's in a kind of virtual world, and he finds out that there's a real world, and he's really questioning what's real and not real, and he really wants to know what's real. And the young girl was like, why? And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, who cares if it's real? And I was like, what, you don't care if it's real? And she was like, no.
You've been told from the cradle that the deck was stacked against you. Fall of man, original sin, so forth and so on. It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Amanda Haynes. And if you're new here, I'm happy to have you. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're inspired, go ahead and subscribe if you like the vibe and would like to join the tribe. Someone once told me the sky isn't actually blue, and neither is the ocean. And I thought, what are you talking about? The sky is absolutely blue, and the ocean is absolutely blue. I've seen it with my eyes. But then they asked me, well, what color is air? And I was like, is this a trick question? Air is clear. And they're like, okay, so if air is clear and the sky is air, then how is the sky blue? And I thought, most people say it's because the sky is reflecting the ocean. So then they posed this question: what color is water? And I was like, is this a trick question? Water's clear. And they go, okay, well, if water is clear and the ocean is water, and you go out into the middle of the ocean on a boat and you pull out a cup of water and you look at the water, what color is the water? It's clear. Then why is the ocean blue? And they say, oh, well, it's a reflection of the sky. But if air is clear or invisible, or however you want to describe it, and if water is clear and it doesn't have a blue hue or tint, then why are we perceiving these things as the color blue? And there, I'm sure, are many theories, but one of them is that we cannot perceive infinite depth. Our eyes can only perceive depth to a certain degree. And after that degree or threshold is met, we perceive depth as blue. And that is why we see the sky as blue and the ocean is blue, because the depth is beyond our perception. And this is just one of the many wonders of the world. But that's ultimately what this video is about. We're going to look into what is actually real. Let's get into it.
Nature has given us a hint. When you fall asleep at night, the activity of your own mind appears as a physical world from the perspective of a separate subject of experience in that world. Now just go up one level and consider that what appears to us as a physical world is the activity of a universal mind or consciousness, whose nature is consciousness, not matter. But it only appears as physical matter when perceived through the sense perceptions of a separate subject of experience within that world.
That just got hella deep real fast. And I think what he's trying to say, or at least what I'm grasping from what he's saying, is that when we sleep, we perceive reality as real in our dreams. And when we're awake, we perceive reality based on a collective consciousness that is dreaming this reality. So in our dreams, no one really participates in the experience. I mean, yes, we have like our loved ones and people we know within our dream, but we're the only one that's aware of what's going on in the dream because we're the only one dreaming, right? And so then we wake up and we tell our spouse or our mom or our friend, you wouldn't believe the dream I had. You were in it, right? But they're not aware they're in the dream because it's yours. But I think what he's trying to say is in the waking world, it's a collective consciousness dream. So there is a consciousness that has projected this reality that we are all sort of participating in. And though things seem real because we can touch them and feel them, it's only an appearance. Like, I don't necessarily know if there's actually a way to prove that this is real. And I think it goes back to the question of what is real. Is perception what makes it real? Because what I perceive and what you perceive might be two completely different things. And here's an example, being colorblind. The color that I perceive as red may be perceived as blue in someone who is colorblind. So what makes it real? What makes how I see it correct versus the other person? And you'll probably say, well, because majority rules, right? Yes, but because there is an exception, sort of folds the theory. It's like if I tested medicine on 50 rats and 46 out of the 50 rats were healed from this medicine, which we all know medicine doesn't heal, but experienced symptom relief from this medicine, and the remaining rats didn't. Does that mean that the medicine works? I don't know. And that's the thing is, I don't think any of us know, but it's super fun to just kind of explore, right? Let's keep going.
This is a simple exercise to prove that the mind does not know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. If you're in a safe place, close your eyes. Now begin to feel that in your hand there is a lemon. Make it vivid and real. Squeeze it and feel its firmness. Rub your fingers lightly over the surface, feeling that waxy skin on the outside of the lemon. Now, imagine you take a knife and cut the lemon in half. Raise that cut lemon up to your nose and smell the scent. You get a hint of that acidity, that true lemon smell. Now, I want you to imagine you're taking a bite of the lemon. In doing so, if you have really created a vivid scene, then your mouth will begin to water. This is a response because it wants to prepare the mouth for the acidity of the lemon's juice. How is it that the imaginal act of biting into a lemon is able to make a real effect occur in the physical experience? The truth is that the cause of all the phenomena of life is the imagination. What you are able to imagine to be true and believe in will be reflected in your physical experience. This is the basis of all manifestation. Now, I got this exercise from the Silva Mind Control Method, written by Jose Silva. It is an incredible book that will change your life. Thank you.
I'm honestly mind blown, and things don't usually blow my mind these days. But that was so interesting because I really got into the feeling of the lemon. Like I could feel it, I could really sense it, I could smell it, and I definitely began to salivate. So it's just so interesting that our mind can manipulate what we perceive, even in just imagination. And how do we know that our reality isn't just a product of our imagination? How do we know that we aren't all collectively imagining the same thing? I don't know, but it's interesting.
Does a falling tree make a noise? Only if you hear it. That sounds weird. What are you talking about? Because of this reason. When a falling tree falls, it doesn't make a noise. What it does is disturb the air. It disturbs the waveform field, which sends out vibrations. Vibrations are picked up by the ears, communicated electrically to the brain, which decodes them into the sound of a tree falling. A tree falling only makes a noise when we hear it. I'm talking to you now, and what I'm communicating to you is a waveform field generated by my vocal cords. And words are not passing between you and me. Waveform frequency fields are passing between you and me. They're picked up by your ears, communicated to your brain electrically, and it decodes those waveform fields into the words that you are hearing. We are living a complete and utter illusion of reality. People say, well, it's got to be physical because you can't walk through the wall. Well, if you are of the right frequency that's different to the wall, yes, you can. I mean, things go through walls. Frequencies go through walls because the frequency that goes through the wall is so different to the frequency of the wall that it can pass through. And when we have a resistance, which we experience in the decoded world of holographic illusion as a physical resistance, that is an electromagnetic resistance at the waveform level of reality. It's all illusion.
I think he's onto something, because think about our eyes. We only perceive a fraction of the color spectrum. So if colors exist beyond our perception, then what's truly floating around out there? Not only that, science has proven we don't actually see into the external world. Light waves come in through our retinas, and then the visual cortex, which is located at the back end of our brains, produces an image based on the light that came in. So if we only take in a tiny portion of electromagnetic light, which is like less than 0.005, if I'm not mistaken. And this range is known as visible light, this small range that we can perceive. Then what about the invisible light? What about the things that are happening in this world or in this experience beyond what we can perceive? Like, are we actually seeing reality for what it is, or are we only getting to see what's happening on a limited spectrum because of the limits of our perception? I don't really know. It sure is interesting, but let's keep going.
What is base reality? Quantum physicists have been bumping this idea around, like, what is base reality? It appears that we're not living in base reality, and I cover this in my book. It appears that we're living in this stacked reality matrix. In other words, we have a universe here, but there could be one above us, an ancestor civilization, and another ancestor civilization.
Is it the 11 dimensions or no?
No, this is outside of 11.
Oh,
this is just
Marian.
This is just to create a universe that's 11 dimensional. For example, we have a video game. 14 college students created a video game called No Man's Sky. It's on one DVD disc. It has 80 quadrillion planets and unlimited life forms, and the game never ends. Now they're going to inject AI into this software. So these people that are in there are people in there, they're going to become conscious. They're going to be asking, who is our creator? Why are we here? Who created this universe? What is our big bang? Well, when we turn your game console off, that's the big
So
bang.
has become sentient?
Oh yeah, we're going to get to AGI soon, which is the next level of sentience for machine learning and computer learning.
So are we just AI? Y'all gotta look up what sentient means. Sentience. Sentient means capable of feeling, having the power of, or characterized by the exercise of sense perception. I mean, we could be AI. Who really knows? But you do hear about parallel realities. And who knows? Who knows if our human experience is only able to perceive this fraction of the electromagnetic spectrum, but outside of just the fraction that we can perceive is where other worlds exist. I mean, maybe you would call that the spirit world. I have no idea. Different dimensions. If this is the 3D dimension, shifting into 4D and 5D, then who knows? Who knows about 6D and 7D? Who knows what is beyond what we perceive? But I think that further enforces the idea that we don't actually know what real is. Let's keep it pushing.
You can create any reality you want. Your mind is that powerful. You are a creator. Everything in your life you have put there. You have created and put there. A lot of people don't like to hear that because their lives are not exactly that good. But you created the mess that you're in. If you realize that you created your reality, then you can uncreate it by focusing on what you really want. What is it you really want to do? What do you really want to create? And that will be your reality. When you realize the mind is that powerful, then you can have what you want in your life. You can create your own reality.
I think she brought up a really good point about when we're talking about reality, are we referring to the collective reality that we're all perceiving? Or are we referring to individual reality? Because I think that there's absolutely a difference between what's happening in my inner world and how I'm perceiving what's going on around me versus how everyone outside of me is perceiving things. You can either see the world as on fire or full of butterflies. And I don't necessarily think that it's about having your head in the sand or just being super aware of what's going on in the world. I think it's about choosing what it is you want to experience in this lifetime. Now, I know for a fact that war and famine and all of these demoralizing things are happening in the world. I just choose not to focus my attention on things that I can't control. And so I don't tend to experience unpleasant things in my reality. Now, when I was a nurse, I remember every time I would walk into a patient's room and I was on night shift and it would be more towards the morning time, people would be up early watching the news. And this was collectively between all of my patients. Like if they were up, they were watching the news. This is also a group of people who are unwell and full of disease. So I believe that there is a correlation between what we choose to let into our inner reality from this outer reality that has a direct impact on how we experience this reality. Like it's a super complex dynamic, I would say. But it's interesting that she brought up creating your own reality because I believe in a sense that we do outside of this collective reality that we're all experiencing. It's interesting stuff.
This is what reality is. Hi, I'd like to play the game Life on Earth. Sure, no problem. Let me explain to you how it works. So, this is a free-roaming virtual reality game that you play as first-person perspective. Think of it like Grand Theft Auto, but instead of being behind the character as third-person perspective, you are the character in first-person perspective. Oh, okay, so where's my pad? Oh, no. That's not how it works. So, in a game like GTA, you would move around using the gamepad. In this game, it's not like that. You control everything by thought alone. You just have to think it, and it happens. Wait, so if I want to move my character forward, all I do is think it? Yeah, pretty much. Every part of your character you want to move is done by thinking it. Everything in this game is done by thought. Okay, now I've been told that I can create any life that I want. How do I do that? Again, everything in this game is done by thoughts. Let me put it in a different way. Your thoughts create your reality. Okay, so if I want to create any reality in this game, I can, and the way that I control this game isn't with a pad, it's with my thoughts. Therefore, my thoughts are what I'm using to play this game? Yes. Oh, okay. So how do I start the game? You put this headset on and think yourself in the game. Now you, the you that's here, doesn't go into the game. An extension of you does. You become the higher self to the extension part of you that's in the game. And then you guide your extension part through the game. Okay, I see. But before we start, the extension part of you begins the game being born as a baby and won't remember a thing at all. Won't remember this interaction, won't even know that it's in a game. Now, in order for that part of you to remember what it is and who you are, it will need to wake up from the illusion of the game. And you can guide this part of you to wake up from the illusion of the game and remember and realize how powerful it actually is. Okay, I got this. Let's get started. Put the headset on and think yourself into the game.
Yeah!
That was crazy.
That was pretty wild. I like how he broke that down. Very easily understandable as this experience being just a VR game. And I like the part that he mentioned about essentially your higher self guiding you to wake up. I experienced a couple spiritual awakenings, but the first initial one was pretty profound. And it's like I woke up and the veil was lifted. And it was a pretty powerful experience. And thankfully, I had my sister there to guide me because she had already experienced her own spiritual awakening because I had all these questions. I was like, what has been happening this whole time? If I've been living in this unawoken state, like, what does this mean? Who are we? Where did we come from? What is real? And I think it really ties back to that first video with Keanu Reeves where he was at dinner with the young girl and she was like, why do you care if it's real? And ultimately, when you're asleep, it doesn't matter because you can't fathom why it matters. You just exist. But when you wake up, you come to realize that it goes deeper, that it goes deep. And then you want to know why. What's the purpose of all of this? So I don't fault her for where she is, and I don't fault those who are still asleep for where they are. God forgive them, for they know not what they do. God forgive them, for they know not who they are. We're just waking up. That's all this is. And I'm here to facilitate that.
So everyone in my reality is just an aspect of me?
Everyone exists, but everyone you experience in your reality was created by you to interact with as a reflection of you. So they exist in their own right, but the only ones you actually interact with in physical reality are the reflections you've created to experience in your reality. That's why when you change your reality and you change your frequency, sometimes you may find that you no longer interact with certain people. They're simply no longer in that reality.
What about people that you don't really directly interact with that are just like strangers passing by?
It's all an orchestration. As you said, there are no accidents.
Or are they real? Are they real or are they just like robots or?
It is all real and it is all an illusion. It is not this or that. It is this and that. The idea is that you have created them by agreement in the consensus reality to have an orchestration that may be serving them, maybe more than you understand how it needs to serve you, but nevertheless, you are still serving some purpose with everyone that you interact with. But the way you interact with people is by creating your version of them in your reality so that you can see them. Otherwise, you wouldn't be seeing them. They'd be invisible to you. They are interacting with you. You are interacting with them, but you're interacting with them through a simulation that you've created in your reality.
That got deep real fast. I firmly believe that our brothers and sisters are always walking us home and that we create experiences, like he said, to show us where we are on our journey, where healing still needs to happen, where wounds still exist, where our limiting beliefs are, where our fears are, where our wholeness lies, where our brokenness is. I believe that everything in this experience is a mirror for us, showing us where we're living. But I really like how he said things can be both and, not either or. And I think that we tend to get stuck in this polarized place of it can't be both. It has to be one or the other. And I think in a universe that is whole and complete, everything is both and. Everything is hot and cold. Everything is broken and whole, because ultimately that is a state of oneness. And the law of one states that everything is one, that we are one, that we come from the one source, that we are that source, that everything is source, good and evil, black and white. So it's just all so interesting. But I want to know what y'all think. I know this was a pretty deep topic, and I'm just interested to hear what your perspective is and what your experience has been like in this world. So go ahead and drop a comment below and share with us what your thoughts are. If you haven't already, go ahead and like this video, subscribe, and share with someone who would appreciate some perspective. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.